Hello besties! So NetEase released a new mode called Scribble Ideas, where you can create your very own map and of course play other people's maps. For example, we can see Sandy Devil here is cooking with the Squid Games. I'm super excited for it, Sandy. And to create your own map, you go to My Manor, Create Map button. I'll be shown like from a blank template, but you can also choose to apply classic rules or modify the existing maps. The only drawback I want to mention, that is, please fix it. The search doesn't really work, so if I type it in my LG arena, I cannot find it, even though I have it published. And if I play it, it'll create a room which will be displayed in this room list, and this is how other people can join your map. And of course you can, recruit people or just message in the general chat. Okay, so firstly let me showcase you which are the easiest things you can create in this mode, which are some type of escape rooms, mazes, racing games, etc, where you can be limited by time and then escape through the dungeon, or just complete the maze and escape. And the other example is any type of game that involves hunter versus survivor. And in this example, you can only use your skills to down the survivor, and they need to last until the dungeon is open. And this is how they win. So we got some functional components to work with, such as the billboard, just to display some text or instructions to players, the information assistant, which can display some text on the screen, the timer, the counter, the logic component, which will trigger some event when it receives other events from the list, and the functional area, which can be either visible or invisible. This way you can block players from entering some areas or allow them to enter some areas when some event was received. And the core concept for every component is that they can send an event with this like blue arrow and do some actions. So when I leave this area, it'll send some event if I just type it in. Left area. And based on that event, let's enable visibility. Based on that event, I can do some other action. So with this yellow arrow, you receive the event and it'll destroy the area if I select one. So for example, when I leave the area, it'll be destroyed. I don't know, it's just for simplicity. So I enter the area, I leave, and it gets destroyed. The same goes with timer and the counter. So I prepared already an event. Timer finished. It fires when the timer reaches the target time, and the timer starts when the match starts, and the match start event is sent out right here in the match rules. But of course you can also enable start timer when the game begins if you want to. And when we actually receive the timer finished event, we increase the count by 1. Let's see it one more time. The timer goes off, it finishes, and the counter goes increased by 1. And you can also check the DukO's channel. They made a really helpful guide and overview of each of these components, and I'll be showing you some other tips and tricks on some real examples. So let's talk about the limitations of this mode, because there are a lot of limitations even though you can get creative, but I just want to show you some of these things. So for example, if I pick Emil, he cannot really attach his hook to this wall because this wall is just a square primitive. So it has collider, I cannot pass through it, but I cannot do anything with that either. And this wall works perfectly. The other limitation is that you cannot really do like fully closed areas, but you can use some trick. So you can hit more waypoint display, and this will display like the navigation mesh, which is highlighted in blue. These are all the areas you can walk in, right? And if I just put another wall right here, this cube now blocks our way. If we refresh our waypoint, we can see that we cannot really enter this area. And to showcase it, like for example, I wanted to create some secret spot only Emil can enter, and if I use my hook, bam, I get teleported back. So to fix this, you can just, create some invisible wall, like functional area, allow entry set to no, and this will not be treated as an actual obstacle, and you can now go in. So the other thing is elevations or 2 stories. I didn't really figure it out how to make 2 stories, and you can check it by oh wow, never mind, it actually worked. But you should be really precise with how you put this bridge, because if I move it a little bit down or up, I don't know, let's refresh waypoint, you see you cannot really go in there. So this is the issue I had. It's a little bit tricky to set up bridges, but apparently you can do it. Another limitation we got lies within the functional area and the events themselves. So in this case, you can send out the event for all players or certain players, but it doesn't really allow you to pick an individual player. Rather, it's sending the event to the whole team. And this is quite bad because I set up the damage event right here, and in Emil's properties attribute event, when I receive the damage event, my fear increases by 500. The duration here is set to maximum. I'll show you in a bit why. So I go here, I get damaged, right? And if I just lower it down to, let's say, 2 seconds, it means that my fear will be increased by 500 for just 2 seconds. I'm not sure why this works like this. Like, if you know, please let me know down in the comments below. But this is also bad in terms of events, because if I add one more survivor, like team editing, team Romeo, add survivor, and if I want any survivor to be damaged by this zone once they enter, I need to set it up right here. But like when any survivor receives the damage event, their fear will increase by 500. That means that if Emil crosses the area, he will damage both him and the other survivor. so I cannot really do damaging only Emil unless they are in different teams. Of course, there is a workaround for it, but it doubles the work you need to do, so you can copy this area and make sure it's selected for only certain players corresponding team Romeo, right? And right here you send out damage 2, right here damage 1, and for this survivor he receives damage 2 and Emil receives damage 1, but it will still not work because they both are in the same team. And if I go through both of the areas, Emil and that survivor get damaged. And to fix it, you need to make sure that they are in different teams. So right here for this survivor, I can scroll up and select the team, like let's say other. So we have already 3 teams, Juliet, Romeo and other. And for this zone, which sends out damage 2, I need to make sure it's set to other. This way Emil will no longer damage the other survivor, but you can only have up to 4 teams. The other thing I wanted to mention is that you have some kind of filters right here, which can help you set up the mood for your game. And also, if you select Dungeon or Cypher or Rocket Chair or Survivor Hunter, you can randomize their spawn points. Unfortunately, you cannot do it for any other object, but for example right here I set up 2 spawn points for the dungeon, so it's here or here, and this will be randomized when the game starts. And of course you can find a bunch of stuff to decorate your level right here. And for those interactable mechanisms, you have their special events they can trigger based on the actions they have. Unfortunately, you cannot really randomize or like limit what's inside the chest. But for example, you can set up this phone booth, and for it to work you need to go into the rules, match rules, enable DukO Hunter's currency, and go into the survivor properties, right here, attribute, more, and set some currency, and also make sure item slots are set to 2, otherwise you will not be able to pick up any items. Another fun trick I wanted to show you is that how you can ignore the damage dealt by this zone. So it's selected to corresponding team other, and in here it is also selected to damage once we receive the damage to event. Right here, little girl is on the team other. So if I go in just like this, I get damaged, but if I push myself with this fragment, I will ignore the damage. And one more thing about timers. So right here I set up so once we receive the boom event, we display some text. The timer is enabled by default, and once it reaches target time, it will send the boom event, but it will only trigger once. So as you can see, the timer goes off, we see the text, but the timer is not restarted. And how to make an infinite timer is by surprisingly creating a second timer and selecting right here, so it will not be started when the game starts, rather we will start it manually by the event, like restart timer. And in here we, for example, set it to 5 seconds as well, so they are the same. And once we reach target time here, we will send the restart timer event. But this timer will be enabled by default, and also will start as soon as we receive the boom event. Let's test. So this timer goes first, it triggers the second one, and then you see boom. Then this one goes again, then this one, and you see boom. And of course you can adjust the duration right here. You can set it like 1 second, 1 second right here. And in little girl you can set up like receive the event, boom, and increase the fear by, let's say, just 100. This can be helpful for some kind of haunted mansion where, you know, some mystery force is killing you and you need to go through the maze and pick up some healing items in order to survive. Yeah, and make sure that the trigger count is set to some larger value. Unfortunately, it can only be like 99 tops. But I mean, maybe this is enough, maybe this is enough. We'll have to see. And let's test. Like, I get damaged in smaller portions. And let's say somewhere here I can pick up some like healing item and get healed and survive. And you can submit your work by February 16th in order to win some prize. Good luck with it. You can post it on TikTok or X. That's it from me, guys. Thank you for watching. If you have any specific questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. Make sure to share this video with friends so they are also familiar with how to do their own maps. Have a great rest of your day. See ya. Bye bye.